Hello, welcome to the Vineyard Fresh restaurant training video. I'm David Hall, founder of Vineyard Fresh. I developed Vineyard Fresh because I got tired of having wine that oxidized, that had that vinegar smell, that I knew had turned. And I knew from my packaging experience that we could use certain products to keep air off to increase shelf life. So we developed Vineyard Fresh for the wine industry, in which 2 quick bursts, it's heavier than air, lighter than wine, and lays an invisible blanket of protection on top of the wine so the air never touches the wine, the oxidation process never starts. Vineyard Fresh is argon. Argon is 1% of the air we breathe. It's tasteless, odorless, non-metallic, doesn't affect the wine's aroma, bouquet. We independently tested Vineyard Fresh to make sure that it was doing its job. And what we did was we used a test method. He independently tested it with a test method of turbidity. Turbidity measures color, haze, junk. They use it in the water business to see if water has turned. Well, when a wine oxidizes, the first thing it does is it starts to turn and get cloudier before it gets that vinegar smell. So we used an ASTM test method testing turbidity. And here's our testing chart that shows that after 1 week, there was an 18% change in turbidity on the untreated bottle and a 0% change on the treated bottle. After 2 weeks, there was a 34% change on the untreated bottle and still 0 change on the treated bottle with Vineyard Fresh. After 3 weeks, the turbidity, very cloudy on this white wine, changed 276%, and we had a 2% change using Vineyard Fresh after 3 weeks. So we independently tested it, we know that it works, and now that you know it works, you can believe in it, correct? Oh, you need more proof? Well, take the Vineyard Fresh Challenge. The Vineyard Fresh Challenge is to take one of your favorite bottles of wine, open it, pour a glass, then treat it with Vineyard Fresh, 2 quick bursts, cork it, and come back 1 week later, 2 weeks later, whatever would wow you. Have another glass. You'll find that the next glass you have is as fresh as the first. Now you can believe in it. So our mantra with Vineyard Fresh in the restaurant business is if you keep wine fresh, you sell more wine and you make more profits. But keeping wine fresh is important. Our directions are simple. It's 2 quick bursts, recork, and tell everybody. Telling everybody of the value, the pure value of Vineyard Fresh, that we're doing this to all of our wines, that allows us to have a wider selection of wines, a more upscale selection of wine, and that you'll never have a bad glass of wine when you come to our restaurant because we use Vineyard Fresh. We encourage you to put it on your menus, that you have a little blurb where you talk about how you'll never get a bad glass of wine in our restaurant and why we have such a wide variety of wines to choose from by the glass is that we use Vineyard Fresh. Our goal is simple. Our goal is for you to use Vineyard Fresh on every pour, and our goal is to get the customers to know that you use Vineyard Fresh on every pour and that they'll never get a bad glass of wine. In fact, they prefer to come to your restaurant because of your variety of wines and your upscale wine by the glass, and they know they can get anything they want and it'll always be fresh. That's our goals. Well, how do we communicate the goals? One way is at the table. A couple comes to the table, and it always happens this way. Who wants wine? Who doesn't want wine? Should we get a glass or a bottle? Well, in many, many states there are recorking laws, and you can take a bottle home. So the waiter or waitress can easily say that, you know, we have a recorking law here, and you can take the bottle home, and it's a much better value. In fact, we'll treat it tableside with Vineyard Fresh to ensure every glass is as fresh as the first. In fact, we use Vineyard Fresh on all of our wine here, so that you'll never have a bad glass. We also, when you're treating it tableside, we have wine to go bags. And this is our wine to go bag. It's a nice, beautiful, rich looking bag with a tamper-proof seal on it that conforms to the law. The tamper-proof seal is here, and if you try to remove it, it will say void, void, void. The other parts of the law can be found on our website. Our website has a chart of all the states and the corking laws and what's required. Some states require a meal and a receipt that's attached to the bag that you had a full meal. They don't want you coming into a restaurant, having 2 glasses of wine, and then leaving. They feel that the meal and the wine is part of it, and that's how the law was passed. The other way to communicate it is at the bar. Bartenders, you have to communicate, you have to use the product on every glass of wine, on every pour, because you got your waiters and your waitresses out there saying you'll never get a bad glass, you'll never get a bad glass. So you have to back that up, and you have to do it. Now if it's the dinner rush or the lunch rush and I got the waitresses lined up and I'm going to just down this bottle with 4 glasses just like that, you're not going to treat every pour. But we're professionals, and we know when the lunch rush is over with and I'm opening this up, and I'm only going to pour 1 glass, so I'm going to treat it. It's easy to do. It's fast. They're portable. There are other devices that have argon that are very expensive, fixed machines that are in a certain spot in the bar, and you have to go over there. But these are portable. You can have them in 2 sections of the bar, and they're easy. They're easy. It's just as easy as putting the cork back in as it is treating with Vineyard Fresh. So we do it with every pour. So a couple comes into the bar and they sit down, and I pour the wine right in front of them, and then I grab my can and I go like that and I cork it. And they say, "What's that?" This gives us an opportunity to talk about Vineyard Fresh and the value that we're doing when we serve our wine at this restaurant. In fact, we have developed cheat sheets. They're the size of a check presenter, and they go through the heavier than air, lighter than wine, the testing chart, and then all the words that we've said here in this video, that you can be reminded of how it all works. In fact, you could leave it on the table for the customer to look at. And now we're educating them of this value added that we do, this pure value that we do on every glass that we sell at our restaurant. We know Vineyard Fresh works. We know we got to sell the sizzle. The sizzle is that you'll never get a bad glass of wine at our restaurant, that we have a wide variety of wines, that we have upscale wines. We have 2 or 3 Pinot Grigios to choose from by Wine by the Glass, and you'll never get a bad glass of wine. And if you buy one, a bottle, and you take it home, we'll treat it so it's just as fresh at home as it was when we opened up. That's the sizzle. We have to communicate that. Now, competition. Our competitor, our largest competitor, especially in the restaurant business, is a vacuum pulling device. And they have a special cap that goes on, and then you put it on top and you go like this and it clicks. And we think when it clicks it's fresh. And when we go to the little stopper they have and we open it up and it goes pfft, we think it's still fresh. But all we've done is pulled a very small amount of air out, and we've trapped air inside the bottle, and the oxidation process still starts. We have a little demo we do with a water bottle, and you can pretend I'm VacuVin, and this is a bottle of wine, and I'm going to suck the air out. Well, I pretty much sucked the air out of this bottle of wine. Not all of it, but most of it. You can't suck the air out of a rigid bottle. All you can do is remove a very small amount. They've hoodwinked everybody over the years that everybody thinks that when you use a vacuum pulling product, you've gotten the air out, but you've only pulled a small amount. In fact, in conjunction with the vacuum pulling products is what they call the 3-day Sharpie rule. And many restaurants write the date with a Sharpie on the label. And when a new bartender comes in, he looks at his wine, and if he sees one that's 3 days old, he throws it away. So they're using a wine preservation system, VacuVin, that they don't believe in, and back it up with a Sharpie and throw it away anyway. Only Vineyard Fresh will keep wine fresh for weeks and weeks. Only Vineyard Fresh is heavier than air, lighter than wine, lays a blanket of protection, keeps the oxygen off, and stays fresh for weeks and weeks. Remember, argon. Part of the air we breathe. 1% of the air we breathe is argon. We have a beautiful website with tons of information on it. Again, our wine to go list by state is on there. It's very easy to get to, a couple clicks, and you can look at any state and all the requirements. Which ones require bags, which ones don't. Most require a bag with a tamper-proof seal. And we satisfy that law, and that's part of our program. Once we've convinced our customers and communicated to them what we're doing with Vineyard Fresh, that you'll never get a bad glass of wine, the customers usually say, hey, that's really cool, where can I get some? And we have a retail version that we sell, obviously in retail, that's shaped. It treats 50 bottles. The restaurant version treats over 120. This treats 50 bottles of wine. And if the restaurant stocked it, if your restaurant stocked this, you easily could put it on the meal, on their bill for another $12.95, $15, whatever you've decided to sell it for. And now you've got more on the ticket. Hopefully a larger tip because it's more money. Vineyard Fresh, the retail version. Our website has a ton of information. We have other videos on there of wine educators endorsing the product. I encourage you to go to the website, learn about Vineyard Fresh, endorse Vineyard Fresh, believe in Vineyard Fresh, take the Vineyard Fresh challenge. We've also created a character, Vinny. Vinny's on Facebook. Vinny has a blog. And we encourage you folks, because you're professionals in the business, to interact with us on our blog. Say something to Vinny. Vinny does contests along the way. Vinny visits restaurants. We'd love to visit your restaurant. Get involved with us. Communicate with us. Vinny would love to come to your restaurant and evaluate your restaurant and then blog about it and talk about it or Facebook your restaurant about what's unique about your restaurant. So we have a nice program with Vineyard Fresh. It works. It's the real McCoy. Winemakers, wineries, when they're making wine, they use argon to help keep oxygen off so the wine doesn't turn on them in their process. We just offer a very beautiful, high-end, portable way in which you can use Vineyard Fresh easily, fast, and think of the mileage you can get. We have already done testing with some customers who have increased their wine by the glass, their average price, sell price of wine by the glass, dramatically by using Vineyard Fresh because they've upscaled their wine and they're selling more wine. So remember, our mantra is simple. Keep wine fresh, sell more wine, make more profits. Thank you very much. Enjoy Vineyard Fresh, have fun. You're professionals, so embark knowledge on your customers. Learn about Vineyard Fresh so that you can talk about the competition, the vacuum filling products that don't work, and you can talk about Vineyard Fresh, that it's the real McCoy, that it's 1% of the air we breathe. The reason why Vineyard Fresh is so good is that argon is an inert gas. And inert means no other molecule can stick to it. So it's the perfect wine preservation product. It will just sit heavier than air and just sit on top of the wine and won't saturate in it because it's inert and no other molecule can stick to it. Vineyard Fresh. Thank you very much. Have fun.